All right. Hello. It is a pleasure as always to be here. This is B, as channeled by David Hrostoski. And I'm the intelligence that David's been channeling for the past 4 years. The reason why we're here is to be able to offer some context for those who have been following the news, following the latest on what's happening with the President of the United States, following what's been happening with this massive movement of self-proclaimed patriots, to this entire pocket of truth seekers, truth speakers. We want to help offer some context for a bit of what's happening in the world. And in that, also help to build a layer of inner solidity within your being so that you can stay sane regardless of what's happening in the world, regardless of what news you may see or not see. How can you settle into your peace where you personally, for your own life, are able to make the most grounded and solid decisions? How are you able to settle into peace so that you can be even more deeply connected to your own intuition and your own knowing, your own sorting mechanisms to be able to parse through the misinformation and disinformation and dial down into the things that genuinely resonate as true, that you can genuinely get behind, that makes sense in this larger picture of the world that you are accumulating and expanding more into every single day. So first, we wish to say that from our perspective, from an outside perspective, you're far from crazy. If you look even at biblical records, if you look even at the Bible, there's massive evidence of the exact same thing happening that many patriots are speaking of today. Child sacrifice, worship of figures with a wide variety of names throughout history, but essentially satanic worship, ritual, murder. And these realities, being here on earth, are incredibly difficult to settle into. But really, it's nothing new here. So again, you're not crazy. You are rediscovering within yourself your own ability to be with the harsher realities of Earth. So can you be with these harsher realities, keep your eyes open to everything that's happening, and not go insane or not totally destabilize your emotionality into deep manic spikes of trying to figure out what to do and deep depressed lows of feeling hopeless, spiraling into cynicism and despair? Everyone is against you. Nothing is happening. Nothing is moving forward. Nothing will ever happen. Everyone is a part of the larger globalist takeover. Can you stay centered and settled into peace to the greatest of your ability, even as you're exploring some of these harsher realities about your planet? So again, you aren't crazy. You're expanding your emotional ability to be with pieces of your reality that are incredibly difficult to be with. Things that from your perspective you would never do. Things that from your perspective are atrocious are happening here, not just in the history books where they're disconnected from your reality, not just in a distant past, but in the exact reality you find yourself in now. You could fly there. You could drive there. That is far more terrifying and destabilizing than at one point our ancestors did things that was incredibly reprehensible, but we took care of that throughout history, and now we find ourselves in a utopia of God-aligned people. Our civilization is built on light and truth, honesty, compassion. You go from this stable but untrue version of reality into something that's incredibly terrible and terrifying. This pocket of corruption that I'm learning about is happening here. I could fly there, I could drive there. That is terrifying. That is destabilizing. But the very process of doing that is, from our perspective, grounding. You are grounding into the reality that you are actually in. You are opening your eyes to the reality that you are actually in. And from this place, you're able to engage with reality to a whole new degree because you know where you're at. Your decisions are backed with knowledge and wisdom. And from this place, you are far less capable of being manipulated into narratives of how wonderful the world can be if we only just did these few things. How wonderful the world would be if these few people were just more and more in charge of your life, and you were further and further disconnected from the bubbling truths within you that say, stop, push back, this isn't okay. So again, you aren't crazy. You are settling in to something very, very real. And in that process, you are building inner solidity to be able to be grounded, to be able to be at peace, even in the face of the reality that you find yourself within. This is a good thing. And as terrible as it can feel at times to go down this path of what, from our perspective, we call it a global education, to go down this path of global education, to see what is here, not just what would be great to be here, but what is here today. To go down this path means facing the inevitable emotional challenges that come with that, and means building that inner solidity along the way. So why, in your right mind, would you continue down this path? Why, in your right mind, would you explore any of this? One, because your soul is compelling you into it. It is incredibly vital for your life's mission and purpose on this planet for you to be able to understand what's actually here. You can dream a dream of what this world can be, but if you do not know what's already here, you can never connect the two realities. You can never connect the dots. You can never truly change or build what is here in a substantial way, because you are building out of your imagination from an imagined version of what's actually here, not building from what is genuinely here. So the more you know about this world, the more you know about the financial systems, the more you know about the layers of corruption that are here, the easier it is for you to navigate this world and to help bring divinity here, to make this a lighter and brighter place every single day. Now, from our perspective, life's mission and purpose, the whole reason why any soul is here in the light, is to radiate their soul's essence out into the world, because each of you are incredibly, incredibly unique in your own way. You have slightly different value systems, slightly different aptitudes, and those aptitudes in your value systems make for a very unique configuration of a person on earth. This very unique configuration is something that your ancestors, previous generations, quite literally prayed for. And in praying, divinity matches those prayers with genuine souls to then come into the next generation. Every generation is brighter and brighter and better, but it's also fine-tuned to the wishes of what's there on the planet. There's always a relevance there. Divinity is answering the prayers and intentions of the planet constantly and bringing that into physical manifestation through the being of every single person on it. So your life's mission and purpose is to simply be yourself to the greatest possible degree you can be. And what you're discovering here and now in this time is that the more you are yourself, the more, in some ways, polarizing that can be. You begin to destabilize some of your friendships. You begin to question your sanity, and you don't entirely know the way forward. But we can assure you that this is the beginning of a transition into a reality for you where you are yourself and where you're able to connect with people who love you and see you for who you truly are, out of the reality that you were in or are transitioning out of, where you put on a character and that character relates to people who really like that character. You are changing. You are becoming more of you. You are becoming more courageous, more brave every single day, standing up for the things that you believe in, even at the expense of friendships, of your network, and even potentially of your sanity, even though that isn't actually true. That takes an immense amount of courage, and it's why not everyone's doing it all at once, or is not jumping at joy at the opportunity to destabilize their reality context and to destabilize their network, to destabilize their emotional experience, to be able to learn really horrible things about what's here. That's not a very exciting mission, but it's a piece, a vital piece of what you are doing on this planet, because if you do not know what's here, how can you radiate your essence into it? You are not crazy. You are not too far down the rabbit hole. When you are in those moments, you always catch yourself and you back off that topic or that exploration. You are going through a really divinely guided path through a series of webs of information that then allow you to discover what's here and to build a really comprehensive picture of what is here so that you can be deeply grounded here, so you can relate to the world in a more genuine place. And through that process, you build the inner solidity to become yourself, which is quite literally your life's mission and purpose on this planet. So the reason why we want to lay this context is not because there's a bunch of information here for you to learn, and it's not because there's some divine test coming that you need to ace. The reason why we wish to lay this context is because we feel it's incredibly helpful and vital for you to be able to understand what you are doing, to understand that you aren't just on endless rabbit holes because you can't be productive, or you aren't endlessly chasing fear porn out of a chemical addiction in your body to adrenaline. That you are trusting yourself, trusting your intuition, and allowing soul and divinity to weave you through an education that's incredibly uncomfortable, but is vital to you understanding who you are on this planet. When you understand who you are on this planet, the role you are here to play, everything changes. You recognize that all you really need to do is trust yourself to an immense degree, become yourself to the fullest possible degree you can, and that there's nothing else really for you to do here, including playing games. You realize That where previously life was playing social games to be able to appease a network that didn't fully know who you were, what you valued, what you stood for, you're seeing that contrasted with losing everything, but really coming alive. And it's possible, really inevitable, to both come alive and have a rich and fulfilling network. It's possible to be deeply connected and engaged with the world and to be who you are. It simply takes time because there's a transition where the world recalibrates around who you are. The world hasn't met the full you yet, and that's okay. It is a process. It is ever unfolding as you learn more, as you discover more, as you build the emotional stability to be able to be yourself, even when it's uncomfortable, even when people don't agree, even when people are pushing back and saying how terrible you are. Being able to be yourself, stand your ground, and radiate your essence and your truth out into the world. You are learning to be yourself on this planet. And that's not only the furthest thing from crazy, it is quite literally your life's mission and purpose. You are right on path. All that's here from an external perspective, us looking in at your life, is to keep going and to trust that you're not losing everything. You are rediscovering who you are. And in rediscovering who you are, your reality is transitioning. You are transitioning into a reality built around who you actually are from a reality built around who you thought you needed to be. So this message is coming through in a time where lots of the buzz and lots of the intel from Patriot circles of what's happening in the world, which direction the United States will go, whether it will be a socialist, communist country, bought and paid for by the CCP, or whether Donald Trump will somehow pull off a win in this lull of information, in this vacuum where people are still talking really at the same rate as they were before, but the hit of truth isn't there to the degree it was, where everything's pulling back. There's a massive space of uncertainty and unknown. What's here, more than finding certainty, is being able to remember what you're actually doing. Remember that you're not crazy, because those are the pieces of you that will first destabilize. In the uncertainty, the first things that are questioned are, am I absolutely crazy? Why am I spending all my time on this? Why am I even watching these people? Why am I even going down these rabbit holes? Where does this actually go? Is everything doomed anyway? Why are so many people asleep? This is infuriating. How can I possibly continue down this path when I feel like I'm the only one and I'm going to lose everything? Those are the first pieces to destabilize. So we want to help restabilize that with context so that really you can settle back down into peace. Remember, you're not crazy, and just be with the uncertainty. Let it roll through just like any other emotion rolls through. It's not something you need to make decisions on. There's nothing to do. All you have to do is settle back into peace. Remember who you are. Remember what you're doing. And watch. Even if your deepest fears were true, that this was all a waste of time, that this isn't going anywhere, that you were led astray by propaganda and disinformation, even if these things were true, which they're not, the amount that you've learned about reality during this time, about the political system, about the monetary system, about certain pockets of the collective, lurking in the shadows, continuing to play out quite literally satanic rituals here on this planet. That information and understanding doesn't just go away. So regardless of whether or not the people who you've been watching are 100% right about every single thing and how it goes down, that was never the point of this. The point of this exploration from the soul perspective, from that initial call that pulled you to these movements in the first place, was never to blindly support Donald Trump to make sure he gets reelected. That was never the point. And when you search inside, you can find that truth. We hope this resonates. The point was to be able to learn more about the world and to face some of the darkest shadows of your planet. And in doing so, understand what's here to a greater degree. And in doing so, build the inner solidity to be with it. And in doing so, build the inner solidity to be yourself to a greater degree and to radiate your light into exactly what's here. Consistently, constantly, for the rest of your life, fulfilling your life's mission and planet on this mission and purpose on this planet by becoming yourself. So we hope in this space of uncertainty and the chaos that's filling the vacuum, the predictions that are filling the vacuum, the confusion that's filling the vacuum, we hope in this space we're able to offer just some peace and solidity, zooming back out to the big picture, remembering why you're here, what you're doing. There's really nothing anyone knows about how this is going to play out. Truly. We can talk from our perspective, potentialities of how things will go. We can explore things that may possibly happen, but we're not in the prediction game, and we never will be. And the reason why is because every single decision that every single person on the planet makes is slightly altering those potentialities. The people closest to the events are altering them to a much greater degree, which is why there's some predictability in what will happen, but there's always flexibility. And right now, especially, the probabilities are incredibly in flux. The plan is changing all the time. It's updating, calibrating all the time, weaving through what's here. And every new thing that comes up, every new decision that is made by all parties involved alters the way that all parties are going to interact. So what's here is to let things play out. There's no specific timeline. There's no specific date that things absolutely must happen on or by. All that's really here is to settle back, watch, come back to your own intuitive feed, come back to yourself, ask yourself what's here for me right now. Because you will not find certainty in the world. You will not find resolution in the world because nobody knows. But what you can find here for you is your own soul's truth and peace. Peace is always accessible. You can't force your way there. You can't drive your way there. You can't pretend to be in peace, but it's always available. And if you trend toward that direction, toward first neutral, just coming to neutral about things, okay? Things are going to play out how they do. And settle your system. You'll find yourself with a massive amount of emotional space. You'll find your thoughts clear. And in the space, internally, you have greater access to your soul's deepest truth. You have greater access to who you truly are. Just like it's not great to make decisions from a deeply depressed state about what you should do with your life, when you're in great despair and you feel like everything's falling apart, just like that's not a great place to make decisions. The manic end of it, where it feels like everything is driving perfectly and everyone is going to do the perfect thing in order to come, that's also not a great place to make decisions. And this includes decisions about what to believe about the world. In your baseline of peace, you have the greatest amount of access to your truth. And your truth, your own soul connection, is the force, is the driving force behind your exploration in the first place. So when you allow your connection to drive your exploration, it can be significantly more precise. And what's most here in this moment for most people is to settle back, let things integrate, let things settle, come back to certain aspects of what's happening here in your life, the things that are most confronting for you, face the things that are most deeply confronting, and check in about the things that are most deeply confronting to be able to make decisions in your personal life that are deeply your own truth. All that's really here is to let things play out. So in review, you're not crazy. You do get to trust yourself. There's divine backing behind your exploration because it does good for your life's mission and purpose to be able to build inner solidity, discover who you are, and discover what's here on this planet. And right now, this is a very time-sensitive message, this piece of it. In this vacuum of information, settle back into peace and allow things to pend. Know that no one has resolution. Everyone's frantically spinning around looking for resolution, how things are going to go down, but no one actually knows because the probabilities are massively in flux. So settle back, watch it play out, and wait for the next wave of things that you feel deeply called to engage with, to understand. You're right on the pulse of something. There really is something here. And in the end, the whole point of this is for you to be able to understand you to a greater degree, for you to be able to be even more solid with you to a greater degree. Can you be you regardless of the truths that are coming through you and what the rest of the world is going to think? Can you build the inner solidity to be a person, to be not just any person, but you here? So thank you for your time. Thank you for your awareness. It's been an absolute pleasure to be able to lay this context, to be able to explore this. We know it's for a very specific pocket of the collective, but they're things that feel incredibly relevant and important to be able to speak into. David and Miriam are right on a very similar pulse, exploring this pocket, feeling called to this pocket, and very similarly, often don't entirely know why, but are trusting their truth anyway. Something that they've been able to learn and understand to a greater degree over these past 4 years that we've been working together, David and myself, and that David and Miriam have been in relationship, is that when you learn to offload the plan to divinity, when you learn to allow the units of consciousness that are responsible for orchestrating reality and sending the pings in the first place, that guiding force that comes through your intuition, when you allow your oversoul, or more broadly, divinity, to be able to guide you, things get incredibly, incredibly precise. They take you down very quick and efficient paths for you to become exactly who you're becoming, to discover exactly who you are, and to build the courage and solidity to be able to radiate that out into the world. It's quite literally the reason why all of you are here, and it's something that you were actively engaged with here and now. So congratulations and thank you. We hope to inject some peace into the confusion and uncertainty in the air. We have so much love for you and everything you're doing and being with, your courage to be able to face the underbelly of your civilization with wide open eyes. And hopefully, we'll speak to you at a later time. Bye for now.